Yeah, I remember I thought she was like super MILF. Yeah. I was like, I'll probably have to see a therapist about this childish shit that I'm like MILF. But
She's a little bit too young to be a MILF. But
No,
dude.
It doesn't matter the age, bro.
It's not about the age.
I'd like to.
No, isn't it? So she's like 22 years old. She's a MILF.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, she's a mom.
No, but
she's
MILF,
a mom.
You gotta
dude.
be at least.
Oh, all right.
This guy watches too much porn, dude. This guy's been watching too much porn.
You can't be a MILF and be like 20 years old, dude.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
No.
technically you are, bro.
Technically, yes, but
Tell me the rules. What are the rules?
If you want to be a MILF, right? You have to have a kid or kids. You have to be of a certain age.
What
You have to be
it is?
mature.
I want to know the
I
rules.
dare say
35
35 and up.
35.
No,
35.
dude. That's
I think so.
35 and up.
What has changed for you? What do you see different?
I was supposed to do an Ironman this past November, and I was supposed to compete in jiu-jitsu, right? And this is what I had planned in the beginning of the year when we had just found out she was pregnant. And I was like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm going to be there for you no matter what, but I'm also going to train. And she was like, hey, I'm not going to tell you no, but you're setting yourself up for failure. And then I'm there trying to, like, you know, I got more involved in Maverick, like taking him to school every day, getting him ready, like, you know, being more involved.
Getting prepped.
Yeah. Doing things.
ready.
Adapting to those things were harder for me, I would say.
So it's a 3-bedroom, but dude, like the 3 bedrooms are the size of like these, like this. So,
Okay.
but so
what?
here's the idea. One room is supposed to be our bedroom. The other room is supposed to be her office.
Okay.
The third one is the nursery. I'm trying to convince her to either make the nursery the podcast room or the office. But then I was like, oh, we need to put that neon sign there. She's like, I don't want that in my office.
What, are you guys pregnant?
No, but like, dude,
Are you
oh my God,
trying?
bro. Huh?
Are you trying?
We're not exactly, well, I wouldn't say we're trying.
Are you able to talk about that on the pod?
Sure, yeah,
Okay,
bro, I've
sorry.
already said it, but I haven't said it a bunch of times, but that's a good question,
Okay,
actually.
all right.
We aren't exactly trying. We are trying to play it a little bit safer, but if it were to happen, it is what it is. Right now, we're going to spend the next year just living on the beach. We have lower rent because her parents own that unit. They've owned it for years. So we're just kind of like, we're going to rent out the house for now, try to recuperate our money, prepare for the wedding. But then as soon as the wedding's done next year, it's like, you got to put a baby in me. Like, she's 32. So she's like, oh, you know, the biological clock, whatever. She wants more than one kid. We'll see how that goes. But so that's kind of the idea. The house will have then the bedroom, the nursery, her office. Hopefully,
Yeah.
I could throw some cameras in there for the podcast. If not, I don't know what the fuck.
Do you have a garage?
So there used to be a garage that was converted to an efficiency
Okay.
to pay off for the taxes and the insurance at the end of the year. But in the future, perhaps if there's a refi opportunity, we could lower the rent. We could probably just keep that unit, the side unit, and maybe that'll be the permanent podcast room. Or we can probably put it on Peer Space even and have people like go rent it, you know, for podcasting stuff, and then we'll have that unit. It's almost like an Airbnb. If it's available, we can do it. But then if it's booked, whatever, it's booked. Get some money out of it.
Fair enough.
So that's the goal.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Do you want more than one kid? Because you said she. That caught my.
So, all right. How about this? Welcome to the Coffee Breakup.
Yeah.
Marvin Schultz, Christian. We have a guest today, Ivan. Thank you. And we've had Carly on, who is your wife, right? We've had her a couple of times, and it's about time we kind of flipped the script a little bit and had the significant other get the other side of the story, you know, maybe get some fact check on her. But anyways, we'll dive into that. You had asked me if I want more kids. It all depends. Like, I think at first, I always wanted a kid. You know, I always wanted to see if I can progress my lineage, especially since my sister, I have an older sister. She doesn't have any children. I don't think she wants any. Older brother wasn't really his thing either. So they're kind of looking at me like, you're the provider of grandchildren here.
Yeah.
So, but now
pressure.
it is a lot of pressure. But I'm at the age right now where I mean, I'm good, but her, she's obviously like, oh, I'm 32. It's a little bit dicier for her. But one kid for sure. If we're able to get a second one, then we'll cross that bridge when we get there. If we have the opportunity to. Maybe.
But then it would probably be back to back, no?
It would have to be pretty aggressive. I even said, I'm like, man, if we can get twins the first night,
That
the
would be
first time,
clutch.
that would be awesome.
It would suck, but it will be clutch.
It would suck once, though.
Exactly.
Instead of sucking again in a year or 2 years. Unless then she goes, I want a third. Well, no, hopefully not. The thing is that I also would like to have a boy and a girl, but we don't really know.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I mean, that's the goal here too. I mean,
right,
I do have that at home.
right.
That's
Really,
true.
you know,
It's
And then you,
jackpot.
what would you want? Would you want like maybe 1, 2?
I mean, what I'm thinking is one. I don't know about a second one.
But you never know. That's the thing.
well, you're not only child, so you have siblings. So you,
I have, yeah,
I
I
have
have an older brother and an older sister.
I have 6 siblings, 5 of which are girls,
Okay.
1 brother. It was always like going on in the house, so I get it. Like, yeah, like obviously it'd be nice to have more than 1 child, and also for themselves, you know,
Yeah.
to play with each other and stuff like that.
Exactly.
So that I can get. But again, in my case, for example, like even if we just had 1 child, like she would have so many like cousins and stuff like that that it wouldn't be like, and they're so tight knit that they'd still have like she would still have like the kid would still have like good like a like support system, friends that they can grow up with, you know, cousins.
yes and no. My only thing is like, you know, as your parents get older, you don't realize it, but as your parents get older, you start seeing them get older, and you're like, damn, eventually they're not gonna be around. For example, me, I'm only gonna have my brother like as an immediate family,
Mm-hmm.
and I think about my kids, like, you know, like I'm eventually not gonna be around. Like, you know, who's their blood person that no matter what they're gonna be there for them. You know, that's the shit that's what keeps me up at night.
So it's like for them, for like you want them to have each other.
Yeah, I
when
want them
you're
to always
gone?
like, I want, you know, not to be like ever be by themselves, basically. You know,
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
it's
ideally, I guess, yeah, but you would, you know, eventually they would probably find a partner, you know, that would
Yes.
work fine. And then if not, children themselves, they would then have that responsibility.
but even then, partners, sometimes shit doesn't work out. You
Shit
know,
doesn't work out.
your family, you're always gonna, no matter what, if you're mad at your sibling, you know, at the end of the day, you're always gonna figure it out.
yeah, like that's like,
You know,
like
that,
you
that's
have cousins is one thing, but it's like your sister, your brother.
brother, you're gonna. I mean, you know,
I didn't think about it from that perspective. I guess in that way it makes somewhat sense.
His
You're
thing
thinking
is-
about the long,
Because
like,
you're spoiled though, because you have a bunch of, you know,
Yeah.
brothers and sisters, so you don't really know.
and I bet you your sisters are super like, you know, like I don't know, they probably look out for you. You both you have another brother.
I have an older brother.
Yeah,
yeah.
they probably
never met
like,
that
I don't know,
guy.
they kind of like, you know, they probably feel like kind of like a mother figure eventually. They probably check you guys, you know. So it's probably
Yeah, I
nice.
mean, the thing is, my family dynamics is complicated to say the least. There's a lot going on.
Hey, everybody.
Yes, I know it really is tough. But I get where you're coming from. Yeah,
Yeah.
like the idea is to have siblings that like literally a ride or die.
Yeah.
So I can that's a good incentive. Actually, interesting way of thinking of it.
So diving into the pod officially
Yes.
now. Yeah, so we've had Carly on. We've heard her story, a little bit about both of your stories. So now
Yeah.
it's a little bit nice to switch roles a little bit here, kind of
Yes.
see the other side of the story. And you are her husband. You guys have a child together. You guys are both business owners. Have a house, child, I said
A
already.
child.
Yeah, we have 2 children.
Two
American
children.
dream.
Yes.
American dream,
Business owners. Yeah, yeah. Business owners. Like,
perhaps.
you guys have everything. Seems like, right?
What do you
So-
think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, we're never happy. You could say, in the sense of we're happy, but we're never feel like fulfilled because there's always something that
It's
we're
always
chasing.
next. Yeah.
You know, so sometimes, like, you know, especially in the last couple months with being business owners and you know, maybe the economy not being, everybody's not, we're
Sure.
in
Oh, I
retail,
could
right?
totally
We're a
see
little
that,
bit, she's
yeah.
in retail and I'm more in a service where I deal with homeowners, with insurance companies
Okay.
and things of that nature, you know. And if people are scared to either buy homes and, you know, they're not owning homes, then they're not doing insurance claims in this case, right? Because they can't. A renter doesn't do insurance claims, or buying chains at the time.
What you got to do is you got to start like paying people under the table to fuck up their landlord's place.
We're gonna have to edit that out and edit me out of that.
Listen, let me tell you a story.
The
Look,
state does not play.
you know what they told me? You know what they told me? I was in a car. I got into a car accident years ago, and supposedly some guy pulled up, and he's like, "Hey, I was driving down the road, and I saw that you were crashed. Hey, look, like we have a place that we can fix your car, or whatever, and we'll hook you up. We'll give you a good price." Whatever. I ended up calling the cops. Got my insurance, whatever, all that stuff. One of my boys tells me that, those people have police scanners. So the moment that they hear about an accident or anything like that, or something being reported, they show up. So they weren't in the area just being like, all these things. They like
Hey, the hustle's there.
had intel. So it's
Really?
like, there's a hustle for everything.
Mhm.
Suppose. Yeah, I didn't even think
That's
about
why I
that.
said it to the table, dude. The motherfucking.
But that's why shit's effed up in Florida, bro.
That's all true. You know that we're the number one state, well, and city, Miami, for fraud. You know that?
I for sure knew that, and
Yeah.
I don't doubt it for a second because
Yeah,
people in Miami are sketchy.
I mean, this, you know, where this city is, like where you're at, it's
Yeah.
called La Ciudad del Invento. So
Oh, is
specifically,
it? What is it? What is it? What is
that
it?
means like
It's the city of inventing.
Yeah.
Just making shit up.
this shit comes up on the fly. People
Make shit up.
You know,
Yes.
the hustle,
Oh my god,
the
dude.
hustle's real.
Dude, yeah,
What's
that
that?
is
Nicotine.
Is there Zins? It's like a Zin.
Better than Zin. No, this
Really?
has been around before Zin got.
How many milligrams is it?
6. But I've been doing it since 2020.
Maybe after.
So,
Maybe after. Maybe
so,
after.
you
If you
know,
have
that
enough,
just
maybe
helps me.
after.
oh, always enough, dude. I just bring the share.
Okay.
So what is it? You just kind of like,
Nicotine pouch, put it. You know,
oh fuck,
bro.
Yeah, but I've seen motherfuckers throw up on fucking podcasts and shit with that.
Really?
Yeah.
No, this makes me.
it's like
It gets you locked in. It's like,
Really?
do you smoke cigars?
every once in a while, yeah,
So it's like smoking a cigar and having a coffee where you're just like, I don't know,
yeah.
just
It's a vibe.
Yeah,
tune,
yeah,
it's
the
a vibe.
nicotine, like, you know.
Nice,
makes you
nice.
chatty catty.
Do it,
Depends on your-
Official. Yeah. Dial in. All right, now we can start for real.
Man, Ivan, thank you so much for coming on because obviously we had Carly on twice, and honestly, Carly's amazing. I consider her as really a friend because I've reached out to her on multiple occasions, and she's really guided me through getting the right engagement ring and kind of like certain things that I've kind of shared with her that she's helped me with my now marriage, but at the time relationship, and she's really been a friend, and so
Yeah.
I really grew fond of her. She's awesome. So then, you know, the opportunity to have you on, I'm very excited because obviously there's a reason why she chose you, and so awesome guys. So thank you for being on here.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, been a fan of you, been a fan of the work that you guys do. And when you guys were at the wedding, I remember, you know, I think you guys got there a little later,
Yeah.
but I was already like lit. So I remember just being like,
yeah.
yo, we gotta, you know, I was like, either have you guys on or whatever we gotta do, but I want to shoot the shit with you guys.
I'm still waiting for my cigars, by the way.
What do you mean?
Oh my god.
Remember?
Yeah, you're like, oh, I'm gonna get him, and
Yeah,
then
I'm
this
gonna
guy
get
disappears.
Bro, I only smoked like 2 cigars for my wedding, and then the
And
rest
they were
were
all
like,
gone?
They were all gone.
Hey, I had a cigar roller. That shit was
Yeah.
pretty sick.
This
It was-
guy, yeah.
They were so good. We had people recently. Carly told me one of my friends, I'm not gonna say who. They're like their husband was out golfing and they were smoking one of the cigars, enjoying it.
Nice.
And I was like,
fucking
they still got
pocketed all
cigars.
that shit.
I was like, they still got cigars. And I was like, damn.
I remember you were like, yo, I'll be right back. I'll get you some. And then
My
we
bad.
look, and this guy just disappears.
Never saw him again.
Guys.
dude.
We're like, guys, this is wedding. Okay.
Yeah, it was my wedding.
We'll cut
We'll
him
let
some
it
slack.
slide.
I
We'll
got
let
you,
it
I
slide.
got you.
I'll make up for it. I'll send you some for your wedding.
There you go.
I'll get you that cigar roller. How about that?
Okay.
So I talk to us a little bit about give us like a synopsis of the relationship and the history that you share with Carly and where you guys are today and everything that kind of came to be, because obviously there's history not between you guys, but like both of you guys have had some history and
Yeah,
It's brought
I
you
mean,
guys together.
yeah, I would say it's like, I don't know. It seems like a perfect story at times.
Yeah.
It's by far my I don't want to say the word easiest, but as far as getting to the process of dating somebody, it just became so natural. Like it just felt right. It was, I would say, as far as official serious girlfriend, I've only had like less than a handful, and my previous relationships always seemed like there was just like, I don't know, like I was going through the impossible. Like I had to like really, let them know, hey, that's not who I am, or that's not who I'm gonna be, kind of thing. Like really have to sell myself.
Like almost had to force it.
Yeah, like
Right.
almost had to really force it in a way. And then with Carly, it was just like, we were friends for about a year. Before I was at the time just doing whatever I wanted to, partying all the time, and we would hang out, but we were just literally friends. And then it just happened, it was like out of the most random time of our lives. And next thing you know, we were just dating, and it was like super organic. It did not feel forced, which was just like, it was what changed my life, you could say.
Is it true you proposed with the ring pop?
I did.
And she said yes.
did.
I told that to my fiance.
Yeah.
She said I was crazy.
So
She would never accept that.
we were dating for, I would say, I'm sure she would have. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this. It's not about the ring. It's about the act and the thought. And-
That's what I
And
thought.
and I was previously, I had been previously married before.
Uh-huh.
Prior to Carly, like I had dated the person that I was married to way longer time than I dated, for example, with Carly to proposing.
Yeah.
And it just, you know, at the time I was younger, more immature. It just didn't work out, you know. So then I thought I was gonna be forever single. Like I was I'm gonna party my life away. I'm gonna be that fun uncle that, you know, you're showing up to parties at 50. Like
I thought that too once
but
upon a
just
time. I thought that too.
yeah, that's where I thought my life was going. And then with Carly, like you know, we hit it off. It was just like the weird. It's weird to explain it. Sometimes I'm like, I feel like a kid. I get excited.
Right. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
dude.
like she really like just brought like this different side out of me. And you know, I was just like, when I remember, just it was in March that I had proposed. It was just 1 week, man. I just kept looking at her, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna eat. Like I was like, everything I ever said, I probably had said it on a podcast. I'm gonna eat those words, but I was like, I don't care. Like I was like, whatever I have to do to be with this woman, I'm gonna do it. And then there was just one night I was like, hey, I'm gonna go to Target. I drove to Target, like on a Target run, and just walking around, and I was like, I saw a ring pop, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna ask her to marry me. I was like, we'll get the ring later on, because, you know, also we're like in the jewelry world, and I was like, we just knew so much, and I was like, I wanted to get something that we could build together, and she's actually gonna enjoy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was like, it's not even about, like, I was like, I've been there, you know, I've been with the big engagement ring and like the big wedding, and you know, it just wasn't what for me at the time.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I was just like, no, this is like what I want. I was like, this is the woman that I want.
And it just like
there's,
there,
I was like, I'm like, the way I'm gonna propose, there's no. I was like, and I was like, and if there's a no, then, you know, just I gotta keep moving.
Okay.
So I went back home, and yeah, like there in our room, and it was like the best thing ever.
Because she told us the story, you know, a little bit of it, like
Yeah.
how it all went down. She started crying and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And she said, "Oh, I looked like shit. I was like in my PJs."
Yeah,
middle of
we
the
were
night."
just, bro, we were at, like, I would say like the most vulnerable we can be.
True.
Like the most vulnerable you could be as a person.
I love that.
And for me as a guy too, because, you know, with a ring pop, this is just
Yeah.
like fucking the shit.
Good story.
It's what you see out of a movie.
Yeah.
Good story.
But, you know, I was just like, we wanted more than just to be able to say, oh, we're engaged, we're gonna get married. Like we wanted like a whole life together. We knew what we wanted to build, you know, like a whole family. We wanted to get the bigger house and just build these dreams that I was like, we have all that as a foundation, that I was just like, you know, it's not so much about the ring. It's more of like, hey, I'm giving you my word that like, I want this, you know, I want to do this life with you.
That's remarkable.
Do you think that you were in just a different mindset when you chose to propose to Carly, or do you think that Carly brought that different mindset to you? Because you had said that you had, I thought I was gonna be the cool uncle. You know,
Yeah.
I'm never gonna.
Well, I'm still the cool uncle.
Sure, but did you meet her and you're like, I need to get my shit together, or were you already like, no,
Well,
dude, I want something different, and then you?
The thing is that I knew her as a person, and I thought she was cool. I just like, you know, I just never. I knew she had at the time she already had a baby.
Okay.
And I was one of those people, like, you know, in growing up or in my 20s, that I was like, oh, I would never date somebody that has another child. I just, you know, that was just like, and it wasn't that I had an offense to it. I was just like, I knew that was hard. And at one point, like I said, I didn't think I wanted kids in my life. So I was like, that's just something that I'm not willing to cross over. But to be honest, hearing Carly as the way she would talk to as a mom, how excited it made her, and how she was still like this. From the moment I met her, I thought she was cool because, you know, she had a podcast. She worked her butt off. Like, you know, she was always like, she's a go-getter. And I just found that super attractive because, you know, not a lot of people are like that.
Sure.
Guys or girls. It's not just on the women's side. There's guys that aren't like that at all.
Sure.
And I remember I just like I had like this respect for her, and I just thought she was like, I kind of admired her. Like I was just like, you're a very cool individual to me. And then seeing her be a mom, and I was just like, man, she's fucking attractive. Like I'm like,
Really?
yeah. I was like, there's just like it was like a weird thing to explain. I was just like,
interesting.
you know, and you know, I had been out. I would go out all the time, so I'd meet different girls and nobody really ever, like, you know, it was just
Stood
more.
out, yeah.
It was like you know, people are gonna be like, oh, but it was like catch and release at that time for me. Like it's like, you know, you just go out.
Sure. Yeah.
And there was nothing. Like I just knew that I was like, I'm not emotionally gonna give a good side of me to anybody. That's how I was walking through life, you know. And yeah, with Carly, it just felt, bro, it was different. Like she brought that outside out of me to go back
because it's you both had like you passed. You know, you were just getting divorced when you got serious with her, right? You were married.
I was like the year prior. I was pretty much so after COVID. I want to say it was like that I got married because COVID delayed the wedding.
Sure.
Okay. And I remember being like, I remember at the time I was like, hey, like this might be a sign, you know. It was like weird.
Oh,
yeah.
COVID happened. Not
COVID,
supposed to happen.
and I remember, yeah.
Divorce.
No, it like delayed it. But again, just being immature, you know, in my 20s and just being a doo-doo head at the time.
Right. So it didn't work out.
So it just didn't work out, and then luckily, like you know, it was just like I would say it's just a relationship. There wasn't a family tied to it. Like, you know, there wasn't kids or anything like involved. So it ended up being, you know, it's a sucky process like any breakup.
Sure.
But, you know, compared to like when you do have kids and there's more involvement and it could get sticky.
Yeah.
So I was just like, when I had met Carly out, I was single for like a while already. And yeah, I was, even till before I started dating Carly, I was like technically single for like a year. That I was just me like wilding out.
Yeah, but so she wasn't intimidated by the fact that you just gotten gotten out of her marriage, and you weren't intimidated by the fact that she has a kid with another guy. So that's kind of also very special too, because you guys were like, yo, yeah, we have a past, but we want to build a future together.
Could also be pretty challenging too.
It was.
That's what I'm saying.
Yo, maybe that would have been a sign like, should we?
Yeah.
You know, but you guys still said.
But it was like,
to the wall.
it was one of those things like, it's going to be so corny. But like the minute I had that connection with her of like, you know, where we were like, we kissed, we held hands, this and that. I remember, like, and we still talk about it to this day, like in her kitchen, like just telling her, like, I was like, oh, I'm so fucked. And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm fucked. I just remember saying, like, that's how I said bye to her. I was like, I'm fucked. Because I just knew, like, I felt it in me that I was like, I'm going to pursue this. Like, I'm going to, you know, pursue it. And then, again, it was so organic. And at the time I was traveling for work, it was like during hurricane season. So the house that they had rented, the job had rented out for us was like in Naples or like Fort Myers area. And dude, I was driving down just to like have dinner with Carly, and then I'd leave her house, drive back, or I would sleep in my car and then end up driving back. It was just a crazy time for me. And you know, it just evolved into what it is now.
Yeah.
The city boy of him was like,
I gotta get out of here.
Were there some struggles early on that you kind of came across, being that she had a kid and you were married before, but that's kind of like we're in the past, but she has a child with another man, so you were essentially becoming a stepfather. What were some of the challenges?
Especially since, I mean, you were like, I don't want any of this. Obviously, you saw her and you were like, man, I'm attracted to it.
Yeah.
But you were like, I don't see myself having kids. I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
How was that dynamic going into?
Well, early on, like I hadn't met Mav. That, you know, that's
right. Yeah.
I hadn't met Mav like early on, so you know, it was just like I think we, you know, we were trying to see where it was going, but from the beginning we were like, you could tell we were serious about each other. You know, we were like, it was like the calls, the texting. Anytime that I had a break, it was like to go see her. Anytime she had time, it was like she made it an effort to see me.
Nice.
And like I said, it was just organic, and eventually she explained to me like, hey, you know, this is how I co-parent at the time. You know, like, you know, Mav's dad's still very involved. He's an involved dad.
He told us, yeah.
So, you know, so like in that sense, it was kind of like the way I looked at it. I was like, well, at least I'm not gonna, if I'm coming into something that's so new, at least I know it's not gonna be like this child that's ever gonna think that like, you know, some people never meet their dad, so they're like frustrated or upset with you, or like it was kind of like I came in and interrupted something that. It wasn't like that at all, you know? So I was like, at least it'll be something organic where everybody gets along, and I felt like it'd be an easier process.
Because you didn't take on the father role because he had a father. He has a father. So that may
I mean,
things easier.
It was a healthy environment to get into.
Yeah, you could say it's a healthy environment to get into, but, you know, being also that when he's with us, I had to start being like, you know, he's like, kind of like a dad role.
Sure.
As in like, hey, like, you know, we got to respect the way we speak, or certain things we can't do. And Carly being able to be like, hey, yes, like, I need you to help me. Like, need you to be able to step in. Like us being able to have that conversation and know like, hey, is it okay? Because at the beginning I was like, you know, I was kind of on I'm gonna stay back
the-
here.
on the
Like,
fence,
I don't know if that's my lane. Like, I don't know. I don't want to, you know, I didn't want to
Overstep.
Say something and
say
then she's
something to
like,
Mav.
"You're not his father."
that, or like, or Mav tell his dad, and his dad be like, hey, like, no. But
Yeah,
it was
fuck,
the
whoop your ass.
opposite.
Check you.
Everybody, we were able to be in a you know, like a place. I remember like when Mav's dad actually called me at one point. He's like, hey, by the way, I am Mav's dad, so and so. Like, this is my number. Anything ever happens, like, you know, you call me if anything happens with Mav. Like, you know, like it was like, okay, like we're able to communicate. We're able to be
Civil.
Very
civil. And
amicable.
at the end of the day, when it comes to kids, that's how it should be, because the kids are not at fault for anything any of us do, you know, on our own time or before them.
Sure.
Because they don't. That's not the kid's fault, you know? So, yeah, it just happened to be that way. Like, you know, Carly's very good at communicating, where I think I struggled. I'm more of a, like, I'll just keep my mouth shut. Like, I'll be like, I'm bottle it in, you know?
Yeah.
And she's more like, you know, vocal about things, and it just made it easier for us to be on the same page.
Yeah. But she's also very smart in that aspect. Like she has that
Yeah.
emotional intelligence to kind of.
I agree. She's
Say
very like
what-
strong and like
Strong.
secure, I think, when she
Yes.
like speaks and stuff,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, confident.
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
biggest thing is communicate. Like, if you're ever in that situation, it's because I had a friend recently ask me. He was like, "Oh, I'm like trying to, you know, I'm kind of dating this person, but she has a child," and he goes, "I don't know." Like, he goes, "I like her, but I don't know that world." And I was like,
Right.
talk to her, dude. Like, let her know like your insecurities about why you feel that way, and what if you're gonna step into that role. Like, is there a limit? Like, how involved does she want you? And I was like, and then you'll know, because at the end of the day, I was like, I told him, don't meet the kids if you don't want to be part of the kid's life, because, bro, the kids, dude, you know, kids are kids, and they're gonna think you're super cool as long as you do things with them, you know. So they're
And then you
gonna like you. They're
Yeah.
gonna be like, hey, you know, like, hang out with me, and then, you know, like, you don't want to do that to them, where like after you're like, you know, you break up with the person you're dating, you're also kind of breaking up with the kids.
That's true. Yeah, it's a double
Yeah.
breakup.
Yeah.
How long were you guys dating until you met the kid? Until you met Maverick?
Question.
I would say like it was like 2.5 months, almost 3.
Okay.
2 months. Yeah, like we officially like met.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you knew from the get that she had a child?
But they were friends before.
We were
Yeah,
friends
they
for
were
a
friends.
year.
They were
right.
friends,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember. I was like, I thought she was like super MILF.
Damn.
I was like, I probably have to see a therapist about this childish shit that I'm like MILF. But
She's a little bit too young to be a MILF. But like
Oh,
yeah.
no,
No,
hey,
dude.
doesn't matter the age,
It is
bro.
not
about the age.
Moms,
I-
I'd
yeah.
like to.
No, isn't it? So she's like 22 years old. She's a MILF.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, she's a mom.
No, but the
She's a
MILF,
mom,
You gotta
dude.
be at least.
Oh, all right.
there-
dude.
This guy
Yeah,
watches too much porn, dude. This guy's been watching too
You
much
can't
porn.
be a MILF and be
Yeah,
like
hold
20
on.
years old, dude.
Yeah, you can.
Yes,
No.
technically you are, bro.
Technically, yes, but I dare say you shouldn't be categorized as a MILF.
What?
You're just a young ass chick that just got
Tell me the
pregnant.
rules. What are the rules?
If you want to be a MILF, right? You have to have a kid or kids. You have to be of a certain age. You
What
have to be
is it?
mature.
I want to know
I
the rules.
dare say
Dare say
35 and up.
35.
No, dude.
35.
That's
I think so.
35 and up.
So you're saying a MILF is supposed to look like a MILF?
Yeah, you're mature. You're like, okay, like this woman, she's a little bit older, but you can
Okay.
tell, she has
Put it
kids.
this way: when you were, let's say, when we were 14 or 13, a 24 or 25-year-old with a baby would have been a MILF to you. So now you're just looking at it from different eyes because you're older.
I was 14 years old, of course. Anybody over
But that
18 is
still
like,
classifies
Yeah,
her as a
but
MILF.
by the time you're 45, 50, you're going to be like, no, 35, that's not a MILF. They're a baby still.
No,
45.
But then when you were like 14 years old, you think somebody who's 20 is like old as fuck. But then now you realize, 20
that's
is
what
not
he's
old.
saying.
But now you the perception of it, okay, like 20 years is not old. Same thing, like a 20-year-old chick with a kid is not a MILF.
Not
But
to
technic-
32-year-old Marvin.
Yeah, but technically a 35 or a
31?
40-year-old mom is not old either.
Not old, but it hits the threshold of being a MILF. And
Okay.
I dare open this up for discussion,
For sure.
How old do you have to be considered a MILF?
yes.
All the porn people are gonna come back after you. They're gonna be
Yeah.
like, hey man.
Yeah.
You fucking Google MILF and then somebody who's like 20 years old, like, no, man, come on.
Anyways.
Okay, what were we talking about? I digress.
I know what he's into, dude.
Yeah. Delete that browser history.
That's amazing. So you obviously you waited a few months, but not too long. I guess
Yeah,
you guys
it
wanted
was-
to see if the dynamic is okay.
Yeah, we just want
Like,
like
if they get along,
she
you
just
guys get
she
along.
had she from she had told me she's like, hey, like I hadn't dated anybody like that officially dated somebody serious that I would be willing to bring up to my son, like to be like, hey, like this is somebody I'm seeing. She wanted it to be like she just wanted to be something serious, and I remember just being like, yeah, no, I understand that and respect that. And then I was like, whenever we're all on the same page for it to happen, like let's make it happen.
But I also think it probably helps because you knew her from before. So it wasn't like you guys started dating and it's like, oh, I want to make sure. It's like, you guys have been dating. You guys know each other.
Yeah,
We're dating now. Okay, I think I'm comfortable enough to kind of.
yeah, and also like I was at that time I was in a scary place in life, like financially. I had pivoted. Well, I didn't have the gym anymore, but the job that I was doing, it's like commission based in a way.
Sure.
So I worked my butt off, but like the claims worked. I don't get paid till the client gets paid, and things kept getting delayed. And I remember, luckily, since at the time I didn't have a house or like I didn't have anything. Like I had a car, yeah. So I had a car. That's about it.
Carly
like,
kind of prepped us for
yeah,
this.
I had like it was like at one point, listen, like in my mid-20s, it was like I felt like I was like top here, like bro, I do whatever. I could buy $2,000 on sneakers, like nothing. During COVID, I bought so much shoes. It was like 'cause I was like, oh, this is never gonna end. And then obviously the business went to shit. My whole life spiraled. I started spiraling, just like partying a lot. And then at the time I was like in the rebuilding period, and I was like I said, staying. Luckily, work provided a home, but in Fort Myers. Because that's where the storm had hit. So I would travel just to see Carl. And then, and then we started dating. And I remember being like we were our fish at the beginning. She would have me over for dinner. Maverick would be down or he'd be like at his dad's house. So I'd go over and it'd be like just like at dinner at our house. And then finally it's like, all right, I'm going to take her out. And then it didn't hit off like I thought it was, like with work, like paychecks, right?
Okay.
And I remember like I was like, oh fuck, I had committed already. Like I had told her like we had planned for this. So I was like, what? And then I had to figure out a way to stay in Miami. I was like, I'm gonna have to get a place. So it just worked out that her mom had it. I can't even call it an efficiency, but in Pinecrest, right, her home has a 2-story. I want to say like loft.
Okay.
It's like the weirdest build out, but it's sick, bro. Like the closet, I'm not gonna lie, my bathroom and closet is bigger than this room right here. So it just, but I was like, she's like, hey, cash, you have to pay me cash. So I was like, okay, so now I gotta make sure I secure this cash and take out Carly on a date. And she didn't know how my life was at the time. So I went through all my jewelry. I was like, I got this Cartier bracelet that I had, couple chains, and I went to my guy and I was like, hey, how much can you give me for this? And I think he gave me like $5,500 or I got a lot less for my Cartier bracelet than I had paid, and then for the chains, and I was like, I'll take it. I secured.
Good amount of money, dude.
I secured rent. I secured rent on my spot, and then I secured taking out Carly on a date. Like
sounds like you should have done that like a long overdue. Because she gave us a little bit of a heads up, but I'm like, okay, maybe like a pair of shoes or some shit like that for like $100 that you sold. But
no,
That's what I thought too.
I had to get rent. How much you think rent?
I didn't know.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I didn't.
She didn't give us all details.
Yeah, I didn't have a place. So I was like, I didn't have like a place like where I could be steady. Because I was like, I can't keep going back and forth. Like I was like, I'm gonna die on a car. Like because like I would stay at her house, till like, bro. Especially when you're in every stage feels like a honeymoon. But at the beginning, you're like, you want to make every minute count, right? You're like, you don't want to leave. So I would stay there till like she'd fall asleep, midnight, 1 in the morning.
I know you didn't want to leave though. You don't want to.
Yeah, I know where to go.
After a couple glasses of wine, no, and she was and she was like, she was like, no, we're gonna be serious about, we're gonna do it right. She'd be like, she's like, I want you to stay here, but like, like let's say, Mav was gonna wake up. She's like, you can't be here, and that made me even more attracted to her because I was like, you know what, her family, her kid comes first, like.
Respect.
Like she's like
boundaries.
Fuck yeah. She's like
fuck
flags. She could have been like I was like me. I would have been selfish. I would have been like no, like you stay. Like I was like if the kid would be fine. That's the way I think I would have gone about it. But seeing that and I was just like oh no. I was like yeah I can't fuck this up. So I secured a spot and then secured the date and it was like the best time ever.
Where'd you go? Where'd you guys go? Where'd you take her?
Fogato in Coral Gables.
Fogata. I think I've
Yeah, it's
seen
like
it.
this little Italian, bro. It's like
I think I've been there.
it's amazing. It's,
too?
it's
I think so. It's like they have like outside seating.
they do. They
Yeah.
have like a little outside seating.
Bro. It's
Um,
like the filter went from this many to like this many.
No, because I sounds.
It's
like
next to a
s-
barbershop, I think, or salon. I don't know.
I gotta look it up.
They're not like on the popular Coral Gables street.
Yes,
they're
no,
like
that's fine.
they're like on one of the low key ones. But yeah, it was great, bro. And I remember just being like, I was like, I was like, this isn't a top 5-star restaurant, but I was like, it still has to be very nice,
Brother, you didn't have
Mm.
anything at all. You had to sell your shit to take her anything.
Yeah.
To take her anywhere, dude. Like, I think the place that you took her is, you could have taken her to a fucking Applebee's or a Chili's or some shit. And you actually
Chili's.
went to some nice place.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was like, bro, I'm gonna secure this bag.
But let me ask you this, because you arguably, so obviously you were struggling. You didn't have a place, like
Yeah.
that. You
Yeah,
have
like
your own,
I didn't have my own place. My family at the time was, based on the decisions I had made, like they were kind of like, it was like kind of front up. My parents have been together for 30 years. So when I got divorced, they were just like they were like, oh no, like,
oh wow.
like this is
disappointed maybe.
disappointed. They were like, so it was kind of, they were like, they didn't back me up in that sense of like, yeah, you can, figure it out here until you can. It was more like, no, you're making your life decisions. And,
Yeah.
I was like,
Deal
yeah, that's
with it.
fine. I was like, I'll figure it out. I remember one time I bothered like a friend where I was like, hey, it was like 1 a.m. I was like, hey, do you mind if if I crash at your place today? Cause I was just like, I had slept in my car like twice. And bro, I'm too big. At the time I was like in the Model 3 Tesla. And I was like, bro, I'm too, my fucking back. It's like, I'm
That's
gonna
crazy.
be limping.
Dude.
So
Yeah, you're gonna.
but then I was like, I don't like bothering people. So none of my friends knew. Actually, when my friends found out a couple months later, or like maybe a year after that, like about that time, they were like my closest best friends. They were like, they all texted me separately, like, yo, like, don't ever do it again. Like, like you have a place here. And I was just like, hey man, everybody has their shit.
Yeah.
And at the time I was like, maybe this is what I have to go through because, I did fucked up shit in the past. So I kind of was like,
And the consequences.
I was like, yeah, I was like, you know what? If that was my punishment, I was like, I'm always going to figure it out. I've always been somebody, if I want something, I'm going to make it happen. So I was like, I'll figure it out.
Do you think if you would have told Carly your situation, she would have looked at you differently, or maybe stopped dating you, or altogether?
I mean, I like to think about it like maybe she wouldn't, but to me, I think early on, if somebody would have told me like all that was going on, I might have been like, hey, maybe figure your stuff out.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
And
other
then
things.
when
You got
you're
a kid.
yeah, for sure.
like homeless.
But I mean, yeah, I
Well,
was homeless.
I agree. No, but like,
Yeah.
kind of. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, but still.
But I mean, I guess what also helped me is that she knew what I was chasing, and she knew that, like, I've always fucking worked.
You were driven. It's not like you were
So,
like some fucking
I've
bum.
had things, and she's like, she met me when I was out and about, and I could like, I was splurging or doing stupid stuff. So she was like, oh, like she was just like, no, you just gotta get yourself back to there, but be a better version of it. You
Yeah.
know, be smarter. So
But she never asked, like, hey, like, where do you live, or like, where's your place? And what would you say?
I had told her I was like a little white lie. I had said, oh, I'm staying with my parents in the meantime because of travel and stuff like that. I didn't think she needed to know all the baggage either.
Sure,
Like, cause it was like, I was be like, oh, I'm not getting along with my family because like, I just felt like that was too much. And plus, dude, honestly, it was always happy. Like we were always happy when we were together. Like it was just like organically natural.
Like
It just
nothing
felt
else
right.
matters at that moment that we're together.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It didn't feel forced, So I was just like,
So now you guys are married.
yeah.
Has there been any changes from when you guys met to maybe actually getting married? Anything?
We have a baby.
Well, obviously,
Yeah.
you had-
2-month-old baby.
you had a baby, which I was going to go into that also. So it's like, what has changed from the relationship, I guess, ever since you got married and the child came? But also, yeah, kind of like as you as a father, like what has changed for you? What do you see differently?
Yeah, I mean, I think, bro, especially as guys, I think we're always just gonna grow. It's just like you're adapting to things. I'm still selfish. I think with certain choices, like I want to do things. I don't know, like if I'm trying to compete for jiu-jitsu, for example. That's been like I guess I was supposed to do an Ironman this past November, and I was supposed to compete in jiu-jitsu, right? And this is what I had planned in the beginning of the year when we had just found out she was pregnant, and I was like, hey, like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm gonna be there for you no matter what, but I'm also gonna train. And she was like, hey, I'm not gonna tell you no, but you're setting yourself up for failure. And I was like, I don't know what that is. I was like I've trained all my life for things. Like, I'm like,
I can handle it.
I can handle it. As she started getting more pregnant and I had to help her out more, especially the first couple months, poor thing was like super sick. Like her morning sickness was like next level, bedridden, you know, and she's still working. And then I'm there trying to like, you know, I got more involved in Maverick, like taking him to school every day, getting him ready, like, you know, being more involved.
Getting prepped.
Yeah. Doing things,
ready.
which that spoiled me too. That like I told her, like, that kind of hurt me in a sense of like my mind, because I was like, Maverick was he's such a good kid, and he was
I
so
can handle a baby.
and he was so easy. You know, he had a bedtime routine. Like, you know, he was down by a certain time. He would wake up at a certain time, and I was like, oh, we're still getting sleep. We're still doing everything. I was like,
Cakewalk.
yeah.
Yeah, fuck.
And then, you know, as she started getting more pregnant, and obviously I had to help her out more, you start noticing your time, bro. Like, you know, you do drop off and pick up. So now it's like the times that I usually spend at the gym longer, they're shorter. And it's like you start noticing that. You know, you want to be more involved in bedtime. Like, it just happened organically.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I'd be like, hey, I'm going to go train. And it was just, we're just dating. It's like, yeah, you know, she would just say, yeah, cool, have fun, do your thing.
Sure.
But now it's like, you know, you're a more serious role. So adapting to those things were harder for me, I would say.
You were saying something?
Yeah. So, adapting to like the for me with training, being less selfish. Like, I've always been involved in fitness, CrossFit, for the longest. And it was like my thing, you know, I always had a community. So it's not only the workout, it was like the hang. It's just like, I've been so used to having like friends to hang out with in that sense.
Yeah.
And having to, you know, you kind of have to be more present at home. It was like an adapting thing. And then I was like, okay, I'm still going to compete. And it's like, all right, now I'm not having that much time to get ready for the competition. For the Ironman, thank God I didn't get ready for it. I would have drowned.
Yeah.
The baby was born in September. The Ironman was November. And I remember there was like a week that I had slept like 3 hours. And I remember just being like, oh my God, I'm fucking tired.
How am I supposed to
fucking
compete?
Yeah. And then I'm like, I can't even say that I'm tired, because like the baby uses her, you know, for like milk supply to like live off. So I'm like, if I'm tired, she must be, you know, zombie mode.
But if you she was breastfeeding, or would she like pump and then you would like supplement with a bottle, or
No, just.
But then what? So you would wake up with her at night, or
to help, like, to grab a diaper, to pass her the wipies, you know, like if she needs something, like, you know, I grab it and whatever I can do, like, here, I'll burp her, so like you can try to go back to sleep and get some rest, because the first couple of weeks the baby's waking up every 2 hours when they're breastfeeding, and like every 2 hours when you finally start falling asleep and then you're waking up, bro, it's like you're like
torture.
Yeah, your reaction is like, I was like, bro. I was like, if I was in the military overseas, they would have got all the information out of me just by not letting me sleep, dude.
Of course.
Like, I remember being like, I would have fucking talked anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, like those little things, you know, it's become selfless, because you hang out with the kids and stuff, and you see them being happy, and you do family stuff. You kind of like, you know, but it's just like to me, it's been I would say like a change where I'm like, okay, like. All right, because I have like big body dysmorphia, right? So for me, it's like if I don't work out for 2 days, I'm like moping around the house, like I'm like pulling on my shirt, being like, yeah, and I'm like, I'm not gonna eat the cookie, and then I'll eat 3 cookies, and I'm like, I've told her, I'm like, I've quit working, like I probably quit 100 times this year. I was like, that's it, I'm done with fitness, you know. And she's like, no, you're fine, you know, but.
But are you guys back into like 2 months now? Are you back into a routine, somewhat-ish, or no?
Somewhat. We built out a garage gym. So that I can work out. I just got back to jiu-jitsu 3 weeks ago, finally. We took some time just because we didn't want to bring anything back at home. Sure. You know, with the babies, they're super delicate. And yeah, but it all changes day by day. Like, you know, like sometimes the baby starts being good about their sleep, and then other days, like she just, you know, we both work from home. So like if Carly has a lot of stuff, there goes my day. If I'm at home and I could help her, I'm with the baby, hanging out.
Right.
Do you feel like now that it's been 2 months, right? Do you feel like now, like, because you said, oh, I was selfish, I was always thinking of my stuff. Has that now being selfless, you feel like now it's just like second nature to you, where you're like, yeah, I have the kid, I got to do this, things like that, or
No.
you still like,
No.
I got to remember, or I
Yeah,
got
it's bro. It's like an ongoing thing. You're always gonna have that, and it depends on the type of person you are. Like I'm a very competitive, like I always want to chase the next thing, so I'm always finding something new to do, and that's where like it get a little dicey. But I've learned to kind of tell Carly like, hey, like I want to do this. What do you think? Like I'm open conversation. Like
sure,
like if you think that it's like this is too much of a reach, quick example, like 2 weeks ago, ADCC was happening, and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna cut weight, but so that I could compete. And the competition's on Saturday. I haven't trained,
you're nuts, dude.
So I was like, I'll just stay at this weight class so I don't have to, cut. And I was like, I just want to do it. And she was like, hey, you're gonna either hurt yourself because you haven't trained, or you're gonna be upset because you're gonna go back. And she's like, it's just not. She's like, it's gonna be okay. There's gonna be in a couple months things are gonna be different. And I was like, hey, you know what? You're right. Like I didn't think about that. I got excited when I just thought like, oh, I'm back and this and that. So it comes back to communicating, being able to just like kind of openly have conversations, where you don't feel like you're gonna piss them off because you have this idea. Like I've told her, I was like, hey, like just because you're my wife, I also like fell in love with you because you're my best friend, and I feel like I could just tell you whatever's going on in my head. So like, I was like if right now I feel like next year I want to just go climb up a mountain, I'm gonna bring it up, and I'm gonna hear your perspective. And if you tell me, hey, like, you have kids and you could die, I probably didn't think about that, right away.
Okay.
So it's just good to have.
Let me ask you this, because we had asked someone years ago that when the kind of like what it was like once a child was born, and I feel like most women will say that instinctually the minute that they see the baby, the minute that it comes out of them, that they just have this like bond, this motherly figure, like kind of just like it's like this connection to the kid. Whereas when we interviewed, it was a guy, he was like, it took me some time to really like wrap myself around and really like feel like, okay, I'm a dad. How was that process with you?
Yeah, I mean, it happens where like now the baby's smiling at me at least, so I'm like, oh, she's like recognizing me, But there's times where like I hold her, and I can't get her comfortable. Like she's just like no matter. Carly's like, oh, try this way. I hold her, she'll cry the other way. So I'm like, hey, like she doesn't want me. Like I'm like she doesn't want me. Like like, and then I'll give her to Carly, and it's like she sues out, and I'm like, you guys have a connection right now that I just feel like the baby might not have, or maybe she does, but like since we can't talk and communicate, like if the baby at least to be like, hey, dad, like I just want my mom right now, but I love you. I think it'd be more like, all right, we're good. But sometimes I'm like damn, I'm like, the fuck.
So you I guess raising Mav.
Mm-hmm.
Was probably not the best training for the child at this point, right? Because you were like, oh, this is easy. I can do whatever. Like, the baby came out, you're like, what do I do with this thing?
He's such a smart kid, and like he's vocal. Like remember, like he'd just be like, hey, like I want a banana, So you get him a banana. He's like, thank you so much. And honestly, that thank you, like if like the kid is, because there is kids that are just they don't have maybe manners. I want to say like they're not nice. They're not maybe trained.
Walk around with that shit.
You're kind of like all right. But like he would be like, hey, thank you so much, like and then you're like, you fall in love with that, you do, because you're just like, oh wow, I'm being helpful, like so things like that matter. So with the baby right now, she she cries, and I'm like, you don't love that, huh?
But I guess I see that you need to have like some sort of awareness of like, okay, this is a fucking baby. Like baby can't talk to me.
Yeah.
Some kids don't have manners, so when they don't say thank you, you're probably like this piece of shit kid didn't say thank you. It's like, bro, they're fucking kids, bro. Like they don't know it yet.
As a parent, that comes easy because like that's your blood. But if it's some kid that doesn't share that blood with you, you're kind of like,
you're a piece of shit, kid.
Yeah, you're kind of like, you're like, hey man, like think about it.
It's funny. I was I went to go see my I guess my grandfather. Step grandfather in law grandfather. I'm still understanding.
Step grandfather,
whatever the fuck. But my fiance's grandfather.
Okay, gotcha.
We went over there, whatever, and then the kids had come over, and one of the little kids, he's my boy. Like I always hang out with him, kind of similar to how you guys are saying it. And he starts fucking hitting me, and I'm like, don't do that. That shit hurts. And he keeps on hitting me. He starts laughing, and then a part of me is like, I want to fucking deck this kid in the face.
How old is the kid?
He's I think 3.
Oh yeah, he's little.
But it's like
Three is
he's a
little.
kid, bro. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, all right.
He's a boy, right? You said?
He's a boy.
Yeah,
no,
boys
but-
are always gonna be boys, bro. Boys are always gonna play.
That's another thing. So he was just fucking with me, and like we have times where like we're playing around, but this time he just kept on hitting me. He thought it was funny. So it's like he's a kid, bro. Like he's just to him, he's having fun, and I'm a big guy. Like it doesn't really hurt that much, but it's kind of annoying, dude.
Yeah.
But it's like he's a kid. Like what am I supposed to do? I
Yeah,
can't.
and
Where but old me, remember when I was a little kid? There was a little kid who started fucking hitting me. And then I was like looking around, looking for his parents. I'm like, yo, can someone get this
But
fucking
it's
kid?
the parents' job to be like, yo,
Yeah.
knock it out, or I'm gonna fucking do that to you.
Yeah,
Not
but
us.
but for me, it's also like I don't know how the kids are raised, and it's not my responsibility to raise them, so I can't really say shit. I just have to be like, it's a kid, like they don't know any better. So
Yeah.
that's kind of like where I'm trying to.
No, and with kids it's tough because I had one of my nephews once. He was like roughing around. He's like 8 or 9. He's roughing around in the pool, and I like messed like he kept going. And finally I just like I just grabbed him like to mess around, just like grabbed him and like just kind of like lifted him up, right, and like just was gonna throw him in the pool, but like as I picked him up, I could just see the panic in his face where he just felt like like that pressure of the hands of being like, oh shit, this guy's bigger.
Yeah.
Just some
And immediately, like, I just kind of like put him down and I was like, are you okay? And he started freaking out. And then I was like freaking out because I was like, luckily we're in the pool and like, Carly's watching, everybody's watching.
Sure.
And I was like, I didn't do anything. I was like, and he's like, he had his freaking out. And I was just like, never again. I was like, I was just like, gonna train my kids
Yeah.
to be fucking badasses, and if I need them to step up and be like, yo, handle this for me.
That's
like,
funny.
hey, Mav, fucking
Yeah.
Yeah, whoop this kid's ass, dude.
take him,
Whoop his ass for me.
take him down.
I can't do it. Well, you can do it.
That's funny, dude.
But
That's
yeah, it's
awesome.
hard too, bro. Like, everybody has their own parenting style, so it's like, it's just
Do you and Carly, are you guys on the same page when it comes to the parenting styles? Or, I mean, obviously it's still, well, how old is Maverick now?
he's 4.
4, okay.
Yeah,
So,
I would say for the most part, yes. I would say most women are always gonna have more of the emotional intelligence side of like, hey, like this and that. I'm Hispanic, right? Background Hispanic. My parents didn't let a lot of shit fly like that. I feel like kids nowadays kind of get away with, or they kind of get to be more.
soft.
I don't wanna-
So
yeah.
parenting.
Yeah, like
Soft
more
ass
on the
kids,
on the softer side, and we're not like those soft parents. We're like, hey, like no, we
Firm.
respect people. We like how we treat each other is how we want our kids to treat other people. So for the most part, we're good. Like sometimes she just has to be like, hey, like like if he's crying, like give him a hug, like it's okay. And I'm like, but he's crying. I don't know because he spilled juice. Like I don't find it where like it would make sense for me, but I can see why. I see her point.
Interesting.
And I'm like, okay, like, all right, like, hey, like, we're gonna get through this, and I'll go pat the back and be like, kind of talk to him instead of like going full on,
You
fucking,
can't,
like jujitsu, fucking put him in the fucking head.
But yeah, for the most part, and we're on the same page. Like this last weekend was like this weekend or the weekend before. I remember on Sunday night, we sat down and I was like, hey, thank you for this weekend for like just being like a team player. Like we were on page knowing that our kids, like the baby was wilding out. Maverick was also, we were all sick. So like, it's hard being at home and not putting his energy out as to where like, it could have been like where her and I could have started butting heads, but we knew it was like more of the kids and we figured it out community. And I was like, that's what we got to do. Cause
Yeah.
as they get older, it's, things get different and the problems are going to be bigger. But
Yeah.
if her and I could communicate and be like, no, like we back each other up, no, like we're going to be in control.
Yeah, it's you and me versus the problem, not you guys versus each other. So,
But you see in a lot of like people's relationships with kids, they start like kind of despising each other, and like most of the time it's because the kids are just fucking running the house, and then you start butting heads with your partner, and then like it becomes that way.
There's a video that I saw that there was a couple in the airport with their children, and it's like, bro, it could be a nightmare with like the kids running around and all these things. But before like they start like their actual trip, they go to each other and they're like, same team.
yeah, I
Same-
saw
you
that. I
guys
saw
see
that.
that?
Yeah, I
They're
saw
probably
the
sending
reel.
it.
Yeah.
Same team. And the woman, I think she's the one that posted it, and she's just like, oh, like this gentle reminder just kind of like makes us at ease, because sometimes you do feel like the tension kind of build with what's going on and the anxiety and oh my god, where the kids are. It's like, hey, let's work together. Like no matter what, at the end of the day, remember that we're together on this. Even though we may be frustrated on certain things, we got to be on the same page.
Yeah, I remember the first couple of times. I think maybe like I don't want to say Maverick threw like a tantrum, but it was kind of something. And I remember just kind of like giving the eyes like, and she was like, "What? Step in." And I was like, I was like, excuse me. I was like, what? I was like, no. Like, I was like, no, I don't want to be the bad person, you know?
Yeah.
And she was like, no, like you saw it. You saw this happen. Go ahead, step in, like, you know? And then I was like, yeah, like, okay, you know what? I get it. Cause you don't want to, you know, eventually you don't want, I don't want her to always be like, oh, you go be the bad person, or like me tell her like, hey, go handle that. No, it's more like, you know, we're there either or, like, and we tell the kids like, which also helps in the dynamic where, like, let's say Mav's dad, where he's like, hey, like, if your mom or Ivan told you something, like, you're not gonna come to me and be like tattletale as to like if I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna give it to you or tell you that they're wrong. Like, no, we're all on the same page. We want you to be the best version of yourself that people, you know, because like I tell Carly, I was like, look, you're gonna, as a mom and as a dad, but more as a mom, you're gonna put up shit that no other person outside of this house is gonna put up with, right? Like like your mom's always, you know, your mom's always gonna put up with whatever shit you do, and like, that's just moms. But you go try that shit like with some random person, they're gonna be like, oh, you're an asshole, you know?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you're preparing your kid to be a human, to be an adult.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot, and you could tell there's a lot of people out there that just maybe didn't have that now in life. They're just they're sucky people.
Yeah.
And it's because, you know, like their parents put up with them, but the rest of the world doesn't have that love or that parent.
Right. You prep them for like reality. It's like, yeah, we love you, but that shit ain't gonna fly outside these doors. So
Exactly.
you gotta be ready for that.
Yeah, bro. Like nobody. I'm sorry, but nobody just like if you know, like let's say like I just started talking to you in a mean way. You know, I was just trying to bring like I didn't just learn that from like I just didn't start that way. That came from me talking like that at home.
Right.
And nobody ever checked me.
Right.
You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's what's happened a lot now. People haven't been checked by their parents or siblings or whatever it was, whoever, you know, that they just feel like they could just talk to whoever or do whatever, and that's not going to go unchecked. But people aren't going to put up with that.
I feel like a lot of parents have also gotten lazy. The fact that it's like, I know parents don't really parent anymore, and I feel like you see it in a lot of like the younger kids, and people just give them the iPhone or the iPad, and here have fun and whatever, do your thing, and let me do my own thing. When we were kids, I mean, that wasn't really the case. That wasn't really a thing. Like my mom was very involved. My grandparents were very involved, and you do what you're supposed to. You be polite, you be kind. Nowadays, I feel like a lot of the parenting has gone out of the window. People just like, oh, like let the internet raise my kid, or let YouTube raise my child, whatever, and stuff like that. And I think that is a contributing factor to why kids are so messed up these days.
Yeah, the comment section drives me crazy, bro. Like, so many people that just say shit about people that I'm like, okay, like you feel that way about that person that's doing that, like why don't you do it then? But like people just speak, they just like they're assholes, and I'm like, I get so mad sometimes reading stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not that person to comment.
Yeah.
But man, I'm like
yeah.
how dare you like hate on somebody that's doing something that I know you wish you could do, but you just you don't take the risk. And people will be like just mean towards people, and I'm like, nobody ever checked that. Yeah, it's just crazy to me.
So we had talked about the kind of like the raising of the child. When you guys got married, did anything change on that one outside of having the kid? Because like they say like, oh, maybe when you get married, it's never the same. But for me, I'm like, if you get married, it should be the same. If anything, it should progress.
Yeah.
But for you, did something like, oh, I have more responsibility here, I had to do this, or?
So to me, marriage is still like the word marriage is. It doesn't change. Like it shouldn't change your relationship that you had, right? Just you do your vows or you sign a paper or whatever it is you decide to do, but that doesn't mean you start trying less. And I think that's what happens. Like a lot of people just get complacent, whatever it is, like themselves or their relationship, and they're just like, oh, I'm married now, so it's.
I can tell I'm good.
I'm good.
I don't need to do anything else anymore.
Yeah, like you start you kind of. You let yourself go in that sense. Like, you're like, oh, we're going to be together forever. That's what everybody thinks.
She's not going to leave.
And that's not true. Yeah. Like, if anything, that shit gets harder because the honeymoon does end for everybody. It just does, right? Because you start getting, now you have bills together. You have kids together. Yeah. There's a lot of things that are now more like real life shit
reality.
It's reality.
That can actually break the relationship. Like, now those things like, right, finances, that there's nothing more. Dude, I would say, like, yeah, like, as being business owners, the hardest thing is, like, you think that you're going to have the best year ever, and the first 4 months of the year, you're like, yeah, and then out of nowhere, it goes dry, okay, 1 month dry. I have some money here. It'll be fine. Then the second month is like, oh shit. And now you got to tell that person like, hey, it's not going like, this isn't going where I thought it was going. And for a lot of people, it's like, that's scary, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, no, you got to, if anything, you got to be able to communicate and be there more and like just try harder.
Yeah. I think that's some like the most fascinating thing about like relationships, because like it forces you to change.
Yeah.
You know, because like we learn, we get all these experiences like individually, and then like that kind of it's what molds us. But it's like we don't really understand the molding required to be in a relationship. We think that, oh, you know, you're never going to change. Like, I want to be who I am at all times. Yeah. But then there's like extra developments and extra progressions that one makes because of the relationship, because of children. And like it's a constant like learning curve for everybody of like, maybe for you, we were talking about outside. Like, I think when you were changing the diaper, and then she's like, hey, next time you have one ready instead of, you know, hey, I'll be right back. Yeah. You know, but it's like things like that. So then now for the next time, you're like, okay, let me make sure that I get the diaper before. So it's like these constant like check marks and milestones that we reached, even though some of them are so small, but it just ties into like the development of the character and the person and the individual, especially being brought in together.
Yeah, and being vulnerable and being able to be like, hey, I don't know how to do this, or I'm like scared to do this. It's gonna help you be like that person, be like, hey, like I'm scared too, or hey, no, like, you know, this is how you do it, and you're like, oh, okay, like that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know, because for me, as who I am, I've always been more like, oh, I'm gonna figure it out, so I'll just be like, I'm not gonna ask.
Sure.
I'm gonna figure it out, and then I'm like, oh fuck. How do I do this?
Yeah.
So that's where it gets, you know, dicey.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because what I want to, you just brought it up, like the finances. Like now you guys are married, and I mean, I wanted to ask you how your finances are. Like now that you guys are married, you have a kid together. What changed, if anything, or how do you guys tackle finances? You know, because you guys are a team at the end of the day. But I know different marriages have different kind of, I guess, ways of doing it.
Yeah, I mean, to each their own.
Right.
Like I said, as long as you could as long as you're open about it from the beginning, like what to expect, like, you know, like one of the reasons why Cardi and I think hit it off so well is because we admire other people that do better than us, right? That they're, whatever it is they have. If they have a very successful podcast, it's like, fuck, okay, what makes their podcast successful? Like, you know, the hours they put in, what it is that they're doing, you know, same thing with like a house or whatever life you want to build. So it was like, okay, what do we have to do to get to that or more? And it's like, all right, we got to work together. Like, you know, like she's like, I'm going to have my business. And then whatever it is that you do, you know, like just do it. Like, don't slack, like stay on top of it. So it's like, you know, it was like, okay, so we're both chasing this dream together. It was like, I have your back, you know, if like there's a month that, you know, Casa Carly sales dropped. Like I was like, hey, I got you for whatever, you know, this bill might be. Like, don't worry about it. There was a time where like my commissions were being held from work, and I remember having to tell her like, and this was before we were married. I was like, Carl, look, this is how much I'm supposed to be making, but my paycheck is being held from work for X and Y reason. Like, you got me. Like, you got me? And as soon as the paycheck comes in, you know, I'll put your money back. And she was just like, yeah, like you're good. Like she's like that, you know, she was like, that's fucked up that they did that, but like I got you. she's like our home. She goes, our roof is what matters. Yeah, you know. And I remember being like, yeah, you're right. And then from there, like I had to pivot to whatever else it was to make sure that wouldn't happen again. And you know, it was just having that support as to like, you know, the shitty part would have been like her being like, oh no, like I don't know, go try to sell some jewelry again, you know. And I would have been like, oh, I sold my valuable ones already. I'd have been like, hey, like, I don't know about a fucking.
It's like, yeah, sure, yeah, I got you.
You know, but it was just like, just her having my back and then me having her back. It was just like, you know, we just knew we were doing the right thing.
Yeah. So it sounds like you guys still have some, like you still have your own kind of like, obviously you have your own businesses, but it sounds like you guys have your own like, I guess like bank accounts, and like you guys do things separately in that aspect, and then just supplement each other.
No, we have a joint bank account, and then we have our business bank accounts.
Right.
And bro, like, I mean, at least for me, it's like my money's become their money, like the family money.
Right.
And with Carl's, it's been that way too. Like, you know, like there's, as far as like the basics, like the needs, like, you know, like if she notices, she notices like, you know, groceries are running out, she's not like waiting on me to be like, you know, especially like as dudes, I'm like, I could survive off ground beef and rice and milk. So I'm like, there's stuff in the fridge, you know.
There's food there.
There's
I had
food
this
there.
conversation with my girl last
Yeah,
night.
like I'm like, so, but she'll be like, she'll just order stuff, and I'll be like, oh shit, how much did you spend? And she'll be like, oh, it wasn't that much. It was this. I was like, all right, I'll be like, I try to keep it in mind, like to try to get the next one. So yeah, we just do things like that. It's just eventually the goal is obviously for me to take care of everything as basics, and then for her, like I tell her, like whatever, like with her money, I'm like, I don't want anything. Even for like Christmas, it gets weird because she's like, what do you want? I'm like, just treat yourself to something. I don't know. Like, I feel too old asking. I was like, what I want. I mean, if sales go good in Casa Carly, she'll get me a Rolex. So, like, girls, go buy.
Yeah,
Guys, go buy. No, like that's like I tell her all the time, like, this is what I want. So I know you're not getting that. And I was like, I want to get that for myself. But like I joke around like that with her. But I'm like, eventually I want her to do with her money, put it back in the business or whatever she wants. Or she wants to buy the kids stuff. Like that's what it's about. I it's like endless. Like I don't know. Like we're a team. Like at the end of the day, it comes back to like I guess
100%.
It's just like we both want the same thing. We want to give our kids like the life.
Yeah.
For them not to be worried. Like like kind of like how it was. My parents worked their ass off. And I was giving opportunities to go to school. My parents bought me my first, I would say like first 2 to 3 cars, cash, and they like just helped me, and they were just able to do things that I'm like, fuck, I get why they worked their ass off, And like I'm like I want to be able to do that and more for my family.
You understand the sacrifices.
Yeah. In therapy I work it out. I'm like, hey, I wish that they were involved more in like like just hanging out, but I was like, ultimately, they put something in me that as an individual I needed, which was like work ethic and then like respect towards others. Yeah. Like just a reminder that like it's not like I'm better than anyone. I like to the male and competitive side of me like always tells me like that everybody's an equal. Right. That's what I look like. I'm like, oh, like if you did this, I could do it.
Right.
But sometimes that ego isn't good to have. Like you gotta. Yeah. And my parents helped me develop that and be smart about it. So I'm just like I want to be able to provide for my kids.
Yeah, I just think a lot of times it's patience. I have that same mentality too. Like when I go to the CrossFit gym and they be doing some crazy shit, and I'm like, bro, like I can't do it now, but that motherfucker can do it. It's possible,
Yeah,
like
I'm upset I still haven't worked out with you guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know this guys didn't want to. Oh, we should have done it today.
Today would have made sense.
It would have been nice.
Yeah. You gotta come to Zoom.
Or we gotta go.
You guys are still at Zoom?
Yeah,
I go on weekends.
I haven't seen you guys post. For a while, I was watching you post a lot, and I was like, I saw you get muscle ups.
Yeah,
I'm so fucking.
You're doing stuff.
I'm happy. No, I still go. I haven't really posted much about the gym, to be honest. In general, just not much really posting. But yes, I still go to Zoom. I love it, bro. It's awesome. Yeah, I love that training.
I signed up for the Reebok CrossFit in South Beach.
Nice.
Since I live there. So I was doing that during the week, but then on Saturdays I'll like come hang out with the boys, the community aspect.
The community for me, it's like I've always been. I mean, I have a younger brother, 6 years apart. So it was like it's weird. Like we're always been at different stages of our lives, right? Like when I was starting to go out, he couldn't go out. So it was like and then now like he's could be going out, I'm like settled down. And it's like there's nothing out there like in the streets to be. Especially now with like the kids and stuff, I'm like, yeah, like this is just it's bullshit. Like I'm gonna like there's nothing for me. So the community is like you always have people kind of doing the same thing. So it's always been fun, and it's like I think guys need that.
Absolutely.
Which is like which women, I feel like they don't like. Carl's like, oh, you go to the gym and you spend 4 hours, and I'm like, 2 of the hours I'm shooting the shit.
Yeah, but dude, my girl would tell me the same shit.
But I'm like, you don't understand that if I don't shoot the shit, I'm at home being like fucking like I don't know, like
I need something.
Yeah.
There's times I'll be finished working out at 7 and then I get home at 9. She's like, I thought you were supposed to finish at 7. I'm like, I'm with my boy talking shit. She goes, you take forever. I'm like, yo, I need my guy time too.
Yeah.
My peeps. Supposedly there's an article that they say that like men need
X amount of hours a week.
Two boys nights
a week or something. It's possible.
So listen.
It's possible.
I'll tell you this. During COVID, that's when I started going out. Like the gym was closed. I had a gym, and we started hanging out with my boys. We had a good group of friends, and it started off with like, oh, we're gonna go ride bike on like we're gonna go all the way to Key Biscayne on like a 40-mile bike ride. We just do it. On the way there, we stop at the gas stations, pick micheladas, start drinking. on the way back, we'd get back and we'd be like, we should go out. And it'd be like, you know, some of them at the time had kids. So like the wives would stay home with the kids. And at the time I didn't. So I was just like, yeah, let's go. And bro, we were going out like 4 to 5 times a week. And that's what led to like a bad spiral.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
you
it's
can't do that
just-
anymore.
No,
Yeah.
hey, what? Carl would be like, you better go get that lease again.
Yeah.
So no, there's boundaries. There's respect.
There's respect for sure, man. I love this. Obviously, as we're coming a little bit to the closing, but
Sure, yeah.
it sounds like you guys have found a really healthy relationship, marriage for you guys. What works, what doesn't, and you guys are just really blending in together. You know, like obviously, you guys have. She has a son. You know, you guys have now a kid together. So you guys got married. I mean, it's just your lives are so intertwined.
The American dream.
Yeah. Business owners, you're still grinding, you're still going after it, you know.
It's like every day. It's like every day is a new day, bro. Honestly, like every weekend is like a whole new thing that you find out. Recently, we like 2 weeks ago, we finally went out for like a lunch. You know, we had the nanny stay with the baby, and we got away, and we had literally a drink and a half each. That's the most we've drank in a long time.
Yeah.
And we just started like talking about our like younger selves. And, you know, she started asking questions and I started opening up, same thing. And I remember being like, I feel like I just got to know my wife a little bit better. Like it was like, I don't know, it was like this weird thing. Like you're always knowing something new.
Learning something new.
And I was like, this was nice. Like I was like, hey, like, you know, conversations that I don't think I would have had with somebody in my past. Cause like, you know, you don't want to overshare or you're just kind of like sometimes weirded out that maybe they're going to judge. And it was just like, nah, I was like, you know, we're going to be old together. So
yeah,
you might as well know this now, you know? And it was just like, it was nice. And it was like that communicating aspect, I think it's changed. At least for me, that's what's helped me in the relationship big time.
You know, I want to kind of tie that back into how we talked about how, you know, how like guys need guy time, whatever.
Yeah.
Like my girl's like my dog, you know, like that's like my best friend. Like I love her, obviously, you know, romantically, but dude, there's times that I just be hanging out with her and I'm like, I'm cool with this. Like I like hanging out with her. So it ties into almost like, yeah, we need friends. Like that's what kind of like drives us and like kind of keeps us, I think, sane. But like also like my girl, I could just hang out with her and stay at the place. And
I would be worried if you said you didn't.
if what?
You
No,
just said I
no.
didn't like hanging out.
No, but I'm sure that
It
exists.
does
Like,
exist,
there's stories
yeah.
where they're like, oh man, I gotta go back to the fucking wife now.
Yeah.
You're out after work, you're there going to drink beer before I get to the
So
thing.
one of the biggest things that I noticed in my past was, I remember just one day, I got called. One of my friends was like, "Hey, do you want to just come? I don't know. It was like, come eat dinner with me or something like that on like on a Wednesday night." And I was like, yeah. I mean, I was with somebody at the time, and I was like, yeah, I'll go eat dinner with you. And I was just like, I remember on my way there, I was like, dude, I just left who I'm supposed to be like, you know, having fun with or
Having
like,
dinner.
or or be like romantically involved with or like just this, and I just like didn't even hesitate. It wasn't even like, oh, let me see. It was just like a.
Yeah.
And then I remember just being like, oh, I fucked up. Like I'm ruining this person's also like, you know, I'm ruining their life in a way. Cause like now I'm like, they might think that this is a norm or I'm just ruining, like now they're going to be scared in the future. Like, you know, today. And I remember just being like, oh no, like this isn't what it's supposed to be like, you know, you're supposed to want to be with that person, you know, and it's like anything. We're humans. You're going to get there's going to be a day where you're just like annoyed and, you know, you wake up annoyed with yourself. That anything else kind of like pisses you off.
Sure.
There's gonna be those days, but if you can communicate that and be like, hey, it's not you, it's me. I want to be here. Then I think you're with the right person. You know?
Yeah. I also think of just like how my partner would react. Because you ever seen those other videos where it's like the guys are calling their boys and like with the girls in the background and they're canceling boys' night or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you see like the girls turn around, they're like, and then they start doing their happy dance. They start cooking. They're like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, whatever. Like, I start thinking of it like that. Like, sure, my boys are fun. I would love to hang out with them. But just knowing that my girl, she's probably like, she really wants to hang out with me.
Does your girl have girls' night often?
Not often, but every now and then. She recently had like a Friendsgiving just with like a few of her friends. So she has her moments too.
Yeah. I think it's always like the girls, and I'm like, I don't want to over speak for all of them, but I feel like girls don't have like what guys have, like as in like the girls would be like, oh, what do you guys do? And I'm like, I don't know, we smoke cigars and shoot the shit. Like we could just hang out,
do nothing,
and we like enjoy it. As to where the girls, I feel like, you know, they lose that when they start dating,
Yeah.
It's like, because like if the other girls are single, they're just like not,
Right.
I feel like they don't relate to the
Yeah.
other person. And so like if one of us was single here, I'd be like, all right, you're single, but we can still shoot the shit. Like
Right.
I don't have to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we would still get along, and I feel like the girls don't have that community.
Yeah.
So I don't think they get why we go out and hang out with our friends.
Well, you ever seen like those memes that it'll be like two girls together talking like, oh my God, I love your shirt. Like, oh my God, you're so sweet. And then when they walk away, they're like, fucking bitch, or I can't stand it.
Yeah.
And the guys
Yeah.
are like, you're a piece of shit. Oh, you're such a fat, whatever. Then they walk
Yeah.
away, they're like, I fucking love that guy.
Yeah,
That's kind of
exactly.
like how I see it.
Yeah, it really is like that.
Actually, it's so true. Actually, how that works. I mean, I don't know. Like my wife, she's super close. Like she
Your
has
wife.
my wife.
You're used to saying that already?
Oh.
Not yet. Getting there.
Oh, you might want to edit this out.
Why?
But weren't you? I know I had seen a clip once that maybe you were like, one of you were like, oh, I don't think I'm ever gonna get married or be engaged.
Probably me.
Was
This
it
guy.
you?
That was
You
him,
were
not
you were
me.
you weren't like towards
Super anti.
super anti.
And now look at me.
And
Yeah,
you always
engaged.
wanted to be married, or
Yeah, well, I didn't be like, oh, I have to be married, or like, oh, that's my sole purpose in life is to get married and have kids. Like, I never thought of it like that, but I was definitely open and
Oh, okay.
and
No. I was more like you, that I'm like, I'm not good. This isn't for me.
yeah.
Like, I gave up.
And then
for a
one
while.
day, like you woke up one day and you were like,
Bro, no, I was just not doing my own thing, and then my girl now, my fiance now, her friend was like, "Oh, guess who's single now?" And I'm like, "Dude, I'm not gonna take it seriously. She just got out of a relationship,
Mhm.
whatever. Like, I'm not gonna waste my time." So, but I've known her since forever. So, like, we had a thing in college. It really didn't work out. Known her like all my life, and then this last time, more mature. So I had asked you like, "Oh, were you like in a better state of mind, or like did she make you like that?" For me, I was kind of in that state of mind where I'm like, listen, I'm comfortable with who I am. It took me a while, but I'm like, I love who I am now. I'm happy. I'm happy being single. Like, I don't need to find somebody. And then I talked to her again. We started dating, and I took it very slow because I just didn't want to be like a rebound or like a stepping stone for her to get over her ex at the time. But then after like 6 months in, I'm like, I think this might be good. The
Yeah.
year ended. So like the second half of the year, I'm like, okay, like I think I'm secure enough in this relationship now where I'm not really concerned about shit. And then the following 6 months after that, so 6 months we were dating, 6 months like, okay. And then
Yeah.
the beginning of the next year, I'm like, yeah, let me tie this up.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of how it was. But for some time, I was like, I don't think this is going to happen.
Yeah, and for me, it was I was definitely open and looking forward to like marriage, but I wasn't like, oh my god, I have to do it. So now we got married at November 1st, and it's we're doing it, huh?
Your
My wife. I know it's crazy. Some of them are like, oh, my girl. I'm like, it's my wife. It's like I had to hold myself back, but I'm very excited, bro. It's a great feeling.
bro, it doesn't change. I called Carly my girlfriend, like in the house with her. I was like, yeah, like you're my girl, and she's like, oh, I'm your girlfriend now. And I was like, babe, you're my wife. Like, it was just, I was like in the middle of the conversation. I just said, you're my girl.
You
Like,
cut me off.
and yeah, so like, it doesn't change. We're,
Still
to us, it's just like, you're my person, dude.
You're my person. Yeah. And I'm excited, man. We've been together for 4 years now, and a lot has happened.
Yeah, but you
A lot is happening.
So-
a lot of things to look forward to.
So I'm a little uneducated because I know you write books.
Yes.
I know you've written like 2 books. I just saw
I've
you
written
release
Four.
4.
Three?
Oh,
Four.
but the last 2 they're like how to get over a breakup.
The first one was how to get over a breakup, and it kind of is how we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote a book. Chris was a vital part to it and helped me really go through a tough time. This was like before COVID, 2019-ish, right before COVID. And I wrote the book, and I've been writing for a little bit before, but like blogs and online blogs and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, like let me put this into actual, like into something. And I wrote the book, Learning How to Heal a Broken Heart, and people they've gotten so much positive feedback and like really, really remarkable reviews and comments and
'Cause you
responses to it.
you went like you were. I guess,
Yeah.
You're the more hurt person, I guess.
I got out of a really tough relationship,
Uh-huh.
and truth be told, it was fault on both ends. A lot of fault on my end as well,
Yeah.
but things took a turn for the worse. But yeah, I came out of it stronger, and I remember it was a very tough point in my life. And I was also younger and stupid, and I made a lot of mistakes, and
Yeah. Well, bro.
been there,
Yeah.
done that for sure.
But
So
that
yeah,
takes a lot of vulnerability.
Yeah, 100%. So I opened up about it, and I was always honest and always transparent, and I really was a different person at the time. But yeah, it's kind of a byproduct of this podcast, and I'm really glad I'm on the other end of it now. Kind of came full circle, to be honest. to where I am now, to kind of where it started. So who I was, yeah, at the time. So now it's obviously 31 years old, more mature, wiser ish, kind of. But
Bro, I just had literally the episode I just recorded. I think I called it "Growing Up," because it was like I told my friend, I was like, hey, you know what I've realized? I was like, we're just all big kids. I was like, we're just, you age, but there's certain times that you want to do stuff, or like your initial reaction, you really sit back and think about it. I'm like, that's some kid shit. And I'm like, like there's still a kid in me, but it's just like, I have had to adapt. I've had to grow up because, you're the bigger kid, and you can't be throwing a tantrum in a 4-year-old being like, what the fuck? But yeah, at the end of the day, like we're these big kids that, emotions and all that are very hard to deal with. And I don't think anything in life prepares you to, be vulnerable or like, deal with things. And like everybody has, maybe how he'll deal with something, I won't deal with it. But society will tell you that, hey, you're wrong or I'm wrong for thinking that way. And I'm just like, well, this is my fucking emotions. Like, it's just how it's how I felt. I'm sorry.
But that's the opportunity you have as a father now. Yeah. To like be able to like instill it on your child and really, teach them those qualities. Yeah. Because to your point, reality is gonna hit. And there's certain ways to go about reality. And sometimes, especially when it comes to relationship, you want to be able to have that vulnerability to talk to people and just to empathize with anybody. That's very rare these days.
Yeah. And not everybody deserves it. So, like not everybody deserves you to be vulnerable.
No, of course
not. Like you got to be also like, somebody might just not be a good person. And it's okay. Like, sometimes like, you just got to move on. Just got to be like, hey, like.
Yeah, everybody goes through their own struggles and stuff like that, and people on different pages in their lives and different chapters, and all you can control is yourself, and everything else is just kind of like you gotta take it with a grain of salt. To be honest with you,
to vulnerability.
I like that.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
All right.
What is it? It's not you. It's me.
It's time to break up. It is time to break up. Ivan, it's not you. It's me. I hope you understand.
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first.
We've all heard
dude,
that.
It's the first time I hear it.
So we always like to end the episodes with a final thought. So you can take a moment. We can edit it after. But the final thoughts, anything that you want to tell your younger self or something that you feel that's very important you want to share with people, maybe something you've learned. And we want to just give you the platform to basically say, and then throw your market yourself, market your wife. And anything that's important to you, just kind of share with the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those people, I would never change anything that I did because everything that I've done got me to this point. Any decision, good or bad, led me to where my life is at right now. So it's like I recently told the wife, she was like, hey, if I would have never been the one to, like kind of made that initial move towards like to pivot to where we're at, what would have happened? And I was like, oh, I probably would have been by myself or something like that. I really didn't think about it, and she was like, oh, I feel like you would have, wanted to fight, like make it happen. I'm like, hey, at that time, my mindset wasn't there. So I can't go back. But all I know is that everything that happened led us to, look, this beautiful baby that we have now. So I'm like, there's nothing I would change.
Right.
It's like, you learn from your mistakes, don't do them again. Because then you're the problem.
Yeah.
If you don't learn, then learn. You're the problem. But be able to recognize when you're wrong and be okay with it. Like like shit happens and just nobody's perfect. So whoever is like, oh, you weren't supposed to do that way. It's like, okay, fuck off. You live in my shoes, or you you be perfect.
Yeah.
So
it's like everything that, as long as you're doing good, whatever's led you to be in that position was supposed to happen.
Beautiful. All right, now market yourself. What's Shop GOD? No, that's the other one. What's your
Don't shop GOD.
Yeah, don't shop GOD.
No, shop iDrip and shop Casa Carly because I don't know if I'm gonna get Christmas gifts, but I do want that Rolex. At least I know that if wifey's like, hey, happy financially, she won't be like, you're making a bad financial decision.
Beautiful. But also to put it on the screen that way, because sometimes I want to make sure people can see. Yeah, so www.
Shop iDrip.
Shop iDrip.
Yeah. I'll send it over to
you.
And then Casa Carly.
No, just say it so our editor can then put it on the screen.
With a K.
Casa Carly.
KK? Leave it there. Just 2 Ks. Awesome. I mean, cancel culture kind of went away, but just in case.
I got you.
Nah, hey, I thank you guys for having me.
You were great.
I want to have you guys on and then we'll do a workout in my garage.
Oh,
Yeah, that'd be
because
cool.
I told you guys. I mean, I've seen how you guys have progressed. I follow everything.
I need
and you guys are all, no, like not in the workout aspect. I mean, like on the podcast. I remember I saw at the wedding. I remember I told you guys. I was like, you guys set people up. I'm like, I see you guys set people up sometimes, but no, like seeing what you guys do. No, the clickbait is awesome.
We try, we have to.
But no, but you guys are awesome at what you do, and like, bro, like I said, I look up to people that are doing something out of the ordinary, right? Like a lot of people want to have this,
Sure.
but a lot of people never do it. You know, people are scared of like what people are gonna say, or they're just like they'll come up with 1,000 excuses. But you guys make it happen, and like, that I love and respect. Like I think you guys. Are
That
awesome
was
for
a gentle reminder. Let me tell you that was very nice to hear. Because sometimes, man, I'm in this room and we be doing shit. We be making the clips, and we're like, why? You know? But then I'm sitting here talking. I'm like, this is why. You know, it's kind of that journey. It's being able to do this, and then hearing that. It's very nice to hear, man.
Listen, man.
Appreciate that.
I don't know how many listeners you guys have, but based on your IG, right? You guys have like big following.
Healthy.
Having 1 follower is hard. Having 100 is like, anybody, right? Like anybody that's doing anything should be happy.
Right.
Having the amount of people that follow you guys is like, you know, it's like at the end of the day, you guys are humans. So think about all these people that look at you, you know, good or bad. If they're I don't know if you guys get like hate or like people talking shit, but hey, they're still investing their time to go ahead and be like, yo, you're an asshole, da-da-da. But it's like, you know, you're not going to think about them, but they're thinking about you. And that right there is a fucking win.
Rent free, baby.
That's a win.
I hope I'm haunting you, motherfucker.
I'll leave it at that.
All right, well, with
That being said, Ivan, thank you so much, brother. It was really, really cool to have you on, man.
thank you so much. Till next time.
See ya.
Peace.
Deuces.